call this meeting to order of Atascosa County Commissioners Court. It's a regular meeting, County Courtroom, Suite 203, May 9th, 2022. The time is 9 a.m. We're going by my phone. That clock's about 2 minutes slow, it looks like. And if you would please stand with me for a prayer and pledge of allegiance. Please bow your heads. Father, we just come to you seeking your guidance in the actions that we take today, that they would be, you would give us your divine wisdom, your divine presence, and you would show us the right thing to do in all areas as we act for the citizens of Atascosa County. Lord, we ask you to bless these people who have all lost family members, and that we've had more in the last week, and that you would hold them in your hands and give them peace and comfort. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Please flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. I have one request to speak in public comments. Is there anyone that wishes to speak at this time that has not filled out a form yet? If there's none, good morning, Mr. Beck.
Good morning.
Welcome. You have 5 minutes.
Okay.
It's all yours.
No. I know a lot of people in this room. I'm just a constituent. I beg forgiveness because this is the first meeting of any kind that I've come for county commissioners. And I'm certainly thinking what's going on when I'm voting. And I try and do that. I want to say that Atascosa County, the community, is responsible for the wonderful blessings that I've had in my life. I was sent out of here by the Rotary Club in 1970. I graduated from Pleasant in 1970 to be a foreign exchange student in Germany. It changed my life. Went to the Naval Academy. It's pretty tough to get in, by the way. Graduated, was even tougher. Went to flight school, did a whole bunch of stuff, and came back here because this is the land I love. And I've seen a lot of places. I just want to emphasize how grateful I am to live in this community, and that's why I do. So my concerns are twofold, is that one, also, I'm not a preacher, but I would encourage and implore you each day as you've just done the prayer to pursue goodness through the truth. That seems to be the hardest thing to do, is that we compromise the truth leads to sin, and sin leads to death. That's my little spiel. The second thing is going to be harder, and I probably should leave after somebody throws rocks. But I've always been concerned, and probably because of my background, of my physical state. So I've always done a little something to keep it there, and as I've gotten older, I'm 70 now, it's gotten down less and less. So I used to do 15 miles, and then 9, and then 3, and now if I make it around my property, which is a half a mile, that's good. But I'm still moving. I would encourage the people in this room to commit to themselves as much as you commit to something else. Because when you look at someone that's your friend and you want to walk up to them and just say, stop eating yourself to death. There's not many people in this room that wouldn't classify less than morbid obesity. And we just ignore that. We've been anesthetized. If you came in with a cancer thing on your cheek, they'd say, holy cow, Judge, get rid of that. But we ignore the flowing gowns over our fatness. I don't mean to be rude, but I mean to be truthful. I want our county to be healthy. The people who walk around, you should make a commitment to yourself, because if you can't take care of yourself, how can you commit to taking care of me? I love you guys, and I'm just kind of a canary in a coal mine. I didn't come here to upset anybody, but it bothers me. I was running today going, I have the opportunity to do that because I'm retired. I don't have to worry about going to work. But even when I was working, you got to make time for yourself. That's all I'm asking. For you to think of yourself, make time for yourself, and do the thing that will bring make you stay vertical longer. The guy's 85. I want to get to 85. And any individual, I don't care who you are, you can't argue the fact that you can't compare yourself to someone. As an individual, you're going to do better in the long run. Your health, your heart, and your joints are going to appreciate it totally. So when people have the heart stents and stuff, I have a very good friend who had it done twice, and he's still pretty big. Again, please don't hate me for that. Take it as something that somebody else has recognized, and I hope to have been an advocate of goodness rather than just come in here and create a mess. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. That's the only person that's applied for public comments. So we're moving on to agenda item 4, Audrey Lewis, discuss and take appropriate action concerning personnel, new employee Cynthia De La Cerda, position administrative assistant, pay rate 33000.00, salary budget area 047-400-436, physical drug test pending, start date 05/18/2022. And she's not here. It's not necessary for her to be here. She just needs to get this person on the payroll.
Second.
Who made the motion? Commissioner Gillespie?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Riley seconds. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Thank you. Number 5, Janice Ruppel, discuss and take appropriate action concerning approving the Democrat and Republican elections judges for the primary runoff for May 24th, 2022. And I don't see Janice here. Ask everyone, all the commissioners, to review the judges list and see if there is anyone you object to.
Your Honor, I move for approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Gillespie.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Perez. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Number 6, Bobby Dickey, Carol Delgado, Lucy Caceres. Good morning, sir. A, discuss and take appropriate action to read the proclamation from Community Council of South Texas, CCSCT, recognizing May as Community Action Month, and direct the county judge to sign. Did you want to have someone present this to us? Or would you just like me to read it? Okay. Whereas the Community Council of South Central Texas was established as a community agency on May 11th, 1965, and the service area is large, and it's much of South Texas, but includes Atascosa County. I'm going to hit the high spots on the proclamation. Whereas community action has made essential contributions to individuals and families across the nation by creating economic opportunities, strengthening communities. Whereas community action is a robust state and local force connecting people to life-changing services and creating pathways to prosperity in 99% of all American counties. Whereas community action builds and promotes economic stability as an aspect of enabling and enhancing stronger communities. Whereas community action promotes community-wide solutions and it delivers innovative services. Community action insists on community participation and involvement, ensuring that all sectors of the community have a voice. And whereas community action is celebrating 50 years of innovation, impact, and providing proven results for Americans, now therefore I, Robert L. Hurley, County Judge of Atascosa County, Texas, do hereby proclaim May 22nd as Community Action Month in recognition of the hard work and dedication of all community action agencies. So,
Move for approval.
motion by Commissioner Gillespie for approval, second by Commissioner Knowlton. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Robbie, you told me you wanted me to sign this. Do we need?
Yeah, I don't have to wait because it needs to be.
Yes, that's what was my question. Okay, we'll get you. Huh? Yes, we'll get a picture. I was just trying to figure out about the signing, and then next the picture. Yes. Y'all come on up here and stand behind us if you would.
My dad's sister's husband. Excuse me. Thank you.
And we'll get you a signed copy as soon as we get to it.
tired of holding it.
And then B is still your item, Mr. Dickey. Discuss and/or take appropriate action concerning the request for Atascosa County Commissioners Court support reauthorizing the Community Services Block Grant. The CSBG is a foundational funding for approximately 1,000 community action agencies across the U.S., including the Community Council of South Central Texas, CCSCT. And yes, thank you. We do need you to explain this one to us.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for putting this item as well as the proclamation on your agenda this morning. We don't want to take too much of your time, but this is vitally important to community action agencies across the country. Our foundational funding is the Community Services Block Grant, which actually originated in 1981 to continue the good work of the war on poverty. And so the reason I say, and currently the Community Services Block Grant at the federal level through congressional action is up for reauthorization. And the new Community Services Block Grant will be known as Community Services Block Grant Modernization Act. And the reason I say it's foundational funding for CCSCT and other community action agencies, it drives the structure of our board of directors. We have a tripartite board that's made up of equal parts elected officials, community representatives from business or other organizations, and representatives of the poor. It also now requires agencies like ours to meet 58 organizational standards that drives our operation, from board governance to HR to financial. So that's important. And then it also guides us through strategic planning, community needs assessment, our community action program plan. The strategic plan and the CNA are done every 3 years. The community action plan is required annually. And then probably operational, those are the important things, but then it also provides funding for services for intake. Carol Delgado is our community services program director and manages these activities through CSBG. So services at intake, every client's household has a needs assessment done to determine which services they may need that we can provide, or which of our over 200 partners, community partners, could provide. We provide case management, and then we provide funding for other programs that we've gained funding for that are not fully subsidized by that funding source, like our veterans program, our tenant-based rental assistance program, and our WIC program, which we operate in 3 counties outside of Atascosa. So the process for this reauthorization, through congressional action, it's passed through the Education and Labor Committee. It is now scheduled to go to the floor of the House Wednesday or Thursday of this week, and then when passed there, it has to go through the Senate. So some things that will remain are key with this reauthorization. It will be reauthorized for 10 years, which is the longest term of a authorization of CSBG to date. It will provide $1 billion per year in funding for the first 5 years. And then it will strengthen tripartite boards through specified operations, duties, and required expertise. And there's other things, but I think for the local community and how CSBG affects the local communities, those are vital. So the National Community Action Foundation is the lead on the reauthorization, and they send out a request a few weeks ago for community action agencies to seek local support and to sign coalition letters, not from agencies that receive the funds directly, but from groups that see the benefit of CSBG. So that's our request this morning, is that Atascosa Commissioners Court will vote to sign off on this coalition letter. It's an electronic process, which is in the letter that I had sent out. And I actually sent this request to the Atascosa Citizens in Action Committee, and Judge Hurley was gracious enough to respond and to learn more about the process. So it's an electronic process. You go through the link on the email that I send out, and it takes you through the process. It's vital as it continues through Congress, that there is demonstrated local support for CSBG in the local communities. I'll be happy to answer any questions if I can.
And acknowledgement of it, is there a match on the county's end for money, or is it paid for, or is it coming to us? Or?
It's fully subsidized through the congressional action, through this reauthorization, and then through the budgets that are built by Congress. It is a block grant, so the funds go to the states. In our case, it goes to the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, and then we contract with TDHCA.
So what you need from us is just to pass the will of the Commissioners Court to support and authorize me to sign
Yes, sir.
the block grant as the Community Services Block Grant that's in Congress now. That's what
Correct.
you're asking?
Yes, sir.
Motion by Commissioner Press to approve, second by Commissioner Wiley. Discussion or questions? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries.
Thank you so much for y'all's continued support.
Well, we appreciate what you do for Atascosa County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 7, Judge Vaughn. Discuss and/or take appropriate action concerning renaming the Justice of the Peace Precinct 2 building the Judge Kyle D. Bradley Justice Center. Judge Vaughn.
Thank you, Judge. Commissioners, good morning, everybody. I want to thank you all for the support that I've been given since I've assumed office for replacing Judge Bradley. We all are sympathetic and sorry that we've had this great loss in the judicial system. I couldn't make this without my clerks, and they were Judge Bradley's clerks, and we've continued the operation, and everything is running smoothly. It's going great, and I do appreciate that. I come before you today with the request that we rename the building in honor of Judge Bradley. If you remember, he's been in office for 23 years, and he started off in a little mobile home that was extended off of his house, and spent a large number of years in that building, and then oversaw the construction of the new facility. And it has been going along. I'd like to read something that was written about him, is that he served, again, over 23 years. He also loved teaching and served as a mentor judge for many of his colleagues. And I've heard from many of the judges that I spoke with that he did give them a great deal of information. And he and I had several conversations in his office. We'd stop by, and I'd tell my wife that I need to stop in for 5 minutes to see the judge, and 3 hours later I was still trying to get out of the office. But he was full of information and always was willing to share that information and tell people about the proceedings of the court. And so I deeply appreciated all of the support and help that he gave me. And he's was on the on the board of directors for the Justice Court Judges Association, and has served statewide. He's brought a lot of recognition to Atascosa County through his service as a judge. And I think it would be fitting and a great honor to name the facility after him, to make it the Judge Kyle D. Bradley Justice Center. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Please remain if you have any questions. I think we need to discuss it. I do think that Judge Bradley deserves a lot of recognition. I have concern with calling it a justice center. We already have a justice center. And I think you're going to confuse people if you call it that. We have the Atascosa County Justice Justice Center across the street. So other than that, I certainly have no objection to honoring Judge Bradley. And I'd like to open it to Commissioners Court for conversation.
Do we have any other precinct buildings that are named after individuals?
No.
In the event, as I always say, what's good for one is good for all, right? I don't know if we have enough precinct buildings for elected officials as they all pass on. Would it be objective to bring up the, maybe we can do like a monument somewhere, the way we can have enough room, maybe a park, maybe in front of the courthouse? We'd have to discuss it better, maybe, to be able to put names of those that have lost that were elected officials.
Well, the only difference on this is that he passed while he was currently in office. And we don't have many public officials that have done that. We did name the facility in Lemming for Commissioner Gillespie. So it has been done in the past. That was just my thinking on that, that there are facilities that have been named for active office holders that have passed in office. And that was just my thinking on that. It was just a way to honor his memory and his legacy.
You say facilities. Which facilities other than the Lemming Annex?
The Lemming Annex is one, yes.
One facility.
You're right.
Right.
And then you have the Education Center.
What's done is done. And what?
The Education Center over here, just juvenile.
Yeah, that building's really not named. That's it's the school itself that has, and it's a plaque and a seating area and a flagpole that's really talking about the school that Larry Brown started inside that building. So it's not actually tied to that building. So it's technically not a designation. It's not really not the Larry Brown building. It's a Larry Brown school, and there's two schools that are contained in that building. The Truancy School that's countywide, and the Jordan ISD school. So.
My biggest concern of giving the name of a building to a elected official of that particular building is, yes, I agree, he had passed during his service, and for that, it was a great loss. But he may not be the only one that happens to in their future. So how are we to add those names to that same building in their respect? That would be my biggest concern of all of this. I don't know how to address this any easier than that. If what's good for one is good for all. And how do we tell this family, yes, I think it's okay, but the next family that the exact same things happen to in the exact same office building, and now we can't do it for your family? That makes it hard.
I understand your concerns, and you know, I being the next in line and also being about the same age as Judge Bradley, I don't intend to leave office currently. So you know, I do hope that that won't be necessary. But again, it's at the pleasure of the court, and I just felt like it was something that would be fitting and something that would be appropriate to do. And I don't think it would be out of the line or inappropriate myself. Yes, sir.
Ron, did you have your hand up?
Well, in honor, you know, having many people serving there in justice, like even you could put a bench out there with his name on his memorial, and the next one could put one there too. See?
Yeah.
And not name the building actually after that person, but put a monumental stone or a bench or something there, you know, in his honor, which I think that'd be very fitting.
Yeah. Did you have anything you want to say?
No, I agree with Commissioner Riley that
Well,
may
I'll
come
say
up with
again,
some sort
I
of
would-
monument which would be in honor of Judge Bradley is totally appropriate.
Well, it'd have to be something nice, but again, I'll say I have no objection. For example, if you want to name it the Judge Kyle Bradley Justice of the Peace Center, then I wouldn't object to that at all. I think it'd define what it is.
Yeah.
Justice Center is too broad a term, and like I said,
Well,
we
I-
have a Justice Center and people report to court over there.
Right, no,
Hundreds
no,
of people every day.
I agree with that. I have no problem with that change there. That's not, it was just something that came to
I
mind.
would like to say that the idea of a monument, and just for the public's information, so they know what's going on, our historical association has approached me, and I've tentatively approved it, and we're working on putting a bench and a small sign, it's not a historical sign, in the, over by the old jail to commemorate a deputy, A.B. Coward, who was killed in the line of duty. And I think we need an avenue, and maybe we can do the same thing over there with some sort of monument where names can be put on it. But I'll throw out a perfect example of someone who died in office and really died at some result of serving the county, and that's David Pacifica. And we really don't have any way to commemorate David's service. And he not only did have cancer, but the COVID accelerated it. And I don't know what's on his death certificate and don't really care to look at it, but we know in general that's what happened. And so I'm going to bring back to this has nothing to do, this is separate from your issue, or it could be. No, this is totally separate, but I'm going to propose it to the commissioners that we put up some sort of stone monument where we can engrave the names of faithful county servants who've given their time to the county. And that's neither here nor there, but it's sort of being talked about here. So, and I'll say again, I don't object to naming the building after Judge Bradley. I find it highly unlikely that we'll need to take his name down and put yours up there. I think that's what you were saying.
I hope not. Not my intention.
And I don't want my name on any building, so we're good with that. You and I are both good. We both agree on that. So,
We could have several benches, you'd be the next one.
Yeah.
sir?
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, I have a motion from Commissioner Knowlton.
That we take no action right now, we get together and study possible solutions, monuments, benches, take some time to think this through.
Okay, I have a motion. Second. To set it aside. Second by Commissioner Perez. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. We'll get something done, Judge. It's a very good idea.
I mean, I understand that all of this was at the pleasure of the court, so, I mean, I was just presenting a proposal. It was something I thought we should do to honor his memory, so that's fine, whatever you decide.
We respect your right to do that, and we appreciate it. We appreciate the thoughts about Judge Bradley. I think we all feel the same way. We just got to figure out the right way to do it.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Number 8, Chief Dominguez, discuss and take appropriate action concerning personnel. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Existing employee John Pena, position Kennel Tech, pay rate 38087.34 annually, 40-hour flex pay, $150 a month holiday pay, salary budget area 012-478-404. Are there no uniforms?
We buy the uniforms, correct. There's no
Okay.
uniform
So
allowance.
you don't need it in the pay allowance?
No,
Okay.
sir, no, sir. That's
All
already
right.
clear.
Salary budget area 012-478-404, physical drug test not applicable, start date 05/01/2022. Chief.
So Mr. Pena has completed his 90-day probationary period, and he's ready to move up to Tier 1. So this is a request to move him up.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie, second by Commissioner Knowlton. Discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Number 9, Chief Dominguez, discuss or take appropriate action accepting the 2021 Atascosa County Animal Control Yearly Activity Report. Sir.
This is going to be our 2021 numbers for the whole year, and I'll read them generally. So total animals processed was 2,384. These are 2,384 animals that went through our facility, whether it was county intakes or city intakes. Of those animals, we had 409 that were adopted. We had 585 that were rescued. We had 244 that were returned to their owners. We had to euthanize 518 for being vicious. We had to euthanize 521 for being unhealthy. We had 43 that passed away, mostly puppies and kittens. And we had to, sadly, had to euthanize 96 healthy animals for space. All in all, I can tell you these numbers are very good compared to the amount of animals that come in. And does show that there is a necessity, and we are providing a service to our citizens.
Move for approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Gillespie, second by Commissioner Knowlton. Do you have a number handy, maybe from memory, that how many of these represented from other cities other than the county?
I don't judge, and I would say probably about 30% are from the cities. If we were to guesstimate it.
Come from the cities?
Yes, sir. And I'd say 70 are for the county.
And of course, they pay us for that.
Absolutely, yes, sir. We do have a contract with each city, which does compensate us for our services.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Number 10, Chief Dominguez, discuss and take appropriate action accepting a check from an anonymous donor for the amount of $6,500 from the law firm of Peter Stanton of San Antonio. See attached, requesting funds to be allocated for Fund 478-624, building, parentheses, building for minor tools and equipment, close parentheses. Mr.
Yes, sir.
Chief
So
Dominguez.
we got a pleasant surprise in our mail. We had a certified letter come to us, and normally those aren't good for us. But this time we went and signed for it. It actually came out to be an anonymous donor that donated $6,500 to the animal control. It was anonymous, and the law firm did request that no information be released. So I'm not sure what the circumstances are, but somehow they liked us. So they decided to give us $6,500. We were requesting that fund, that amount be allocated to our buildings and fund. We did have a project that we were trying to accommodate where we provide shades in our interaction yards. This amount, along with our nonprofit, will be able to cover the existing, whatever's left, to be able to provide to be able to install covered shades for interaction yards. And I have talked to the county auditor, I'm sorry, I did talk to the county auditor, so we did discuss on how we could do this process, if it's approved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Riley. Second by Commissioner Perez. Yes, I just looked over the auditor and she nodded her head, which meant she'd already approved it, so.
Right, yes, sir.
That's all that counts.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we gotta have a place to put it, and without her approving it, we got no place to put it, so
Yes,
that's
sir.
good.
And I do have the check here, so I guess I would give it to you now or later.
She doesn't want us to, you don't want us touching it? Oh.
And I would like to thank this anonymous donor and the law offices of Peter Stanton of San Antonio for considering us and for considering the needs of Atascosa County.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good day.
You too. Daniela Martinez, discuss and take appropriate action concerning personnel. Good morning, Ms.
morning.
Martinez.
Good morning.
Okay, read the first one. The first employee is existing employee Brandon Carroll. Position juvenile supervision officer 1, pay rate 32000.00 annually. Salary budget area 039-400-562. Physical drug test not applicable. Start date 5/9/2022.
I asked for that date to be corrected to 6/1/22, please.
6/1.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We're changing Brandon Carroll to 06/01/2022.
As for him, I'm just asking that we increase his pay. It is in the budget. He's been with us for some time now. He shows up to work. We're short. He shows up to work when we call him and need him in. So he's been doing a great job. So I asked for approval on him.
Motion by Commissioner Riley.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Perez. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Next person is existing employee Selena Huerta. I'm going to read these next two together, if that's all right.
Yes, sir.
Position juvenile supervision officer, pay rate 30000.00 annually. Salary budget area 039-400-562. Physical drug test not applicable. Start date 06/01/2022. And second employee is existing employee Markeith Lyman, and all the data is the same, so you need approval for these two.
Yes, sir. They both have been with us way past the 90 days, and they're doing well. So I'm asking for approval for an increase in their pay. And it's in the budget as well.
Motion by Commissioner Perez. Second by Commissioner Knowlton. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. And one more. I see an X by the last one. Is that right?
Sir?
We're not doing Cindy McKay?
Yes, sir, we are.
We are?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I see. That's just a letter correction.
Yes, sir, it's a letter correction.
Excuse me, my fault. New employee, Teresa Esparza, position juvenile cook, pay rate 32000.00 annually, salary budget area 039-400-565, physical drug test pending, start date 05/16/2022.
Yes, sir, we only have one cook right now, and it's been really tough asking to hire Ms. Esparza. We are not putting her as we're not hiring a supervisor at this time. We're just hiring a juvenile cook, so that way the annual pay rate is way less than where we were at. So I'm just asking for approval, and hopefully this one works out. And
Isn't that because you're using the detention nurse to supervise the kitchen now?
well, she's been.
Yeah.
It's just the supervisor that left. We're just wanting to at least get
Well,
someone in starting down
She's a
lower.
nutrition manager anyway, right?
Yes, sir, and then hopefully, once we can get someone trained, and then maybe we can change that position later, but for now, we
Sure.
just want to save also some money and just start her at a decent pay.
Motion by Commissioner Perez, second by Commissioner Riley. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Next is new employee Cindy McCaslett, position part-time control room tech, pay rate $12 hourly, salary budget area 039-400-562, physical drug test pending, start date 05/16/2022.
Yes, sir, asking to hire her. We only have one at this time, and we may or may not keep her. We'll find out this week. She may be leaving, so we are very short with staff, so hoping that we can hire her as well to help out, work the control room. So asking for approval on that, please.
Motion by Commissioner Riley,
Second.
second by Commissioner Knowlton. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Hope you get some people
Yes,
to
sir.
run the place with. Looks like you're getting there.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Number 12, Brittany Van Kuren, discuss and take appropriate action concerning adoption of procedures regarding subdivisions with road construction. Ms. Van Kuren?
Good
you are.
morning. So this is not changing anything in our subdivision ordinance. This is correcting procedures with how we handle in-house. So these are forms that will affect my office, obviously, the auditor, treasurer, and then commissioners themselves. These procedures specifically apply to those subdivisions that come in with road construction. As you well know, when they come in and they want to construct a road, they maintain ownership of that road for 2 years. So we have to have procedures in place to ensure that, A, those roads are being constructed correctly during that time period, and then B, that we're properly tracking either their construction bond or the fees that they give us to take care of that road in case that they're not. So the first page is an inspection form. This is the one that will affect you commissioners directly. This form will need to be filled out every time you go and check each step of the construction of that road. This is something that is already in our subdivision ordinance, that the road construction should be checked at every step along the way to make sure that it's being done to county standards. So this form will be filled out every time you or the engineer for the county, if you are not choosing to go and you want to send the engineer for the county instead, either you or the engineer will fill this out and then give it back into my office, and we'll keep a copy of this for every stage of the road as we move through, so that we can show that we have been doing our due diligence to ensure the construction of that road. And the second one is the construction cost estimate review. This is simply stating where the numbers came from as far as the cost of construction. So we know how much of a maintenance bond we're supposed to hold on to, and that this has been reviewed by the engineer for the county. The third form is the bond itself. Whenever they turn it back into us, it will be signed off on by the county attorney, stating that they have reviewed it and it has been approved from their side. And then whenever that bond is turned over to the county treasurer's office, they will sign it as well. This paperwork will remain in the file with my office, showing when the subdivision bond was turned in, who it's turned into, and where it's standing now, because we have to be able to track these over a 2-year period. And as we all know, there could be a change of office in any manner of places within 2 years. So that's something that we have to track accurately. The last one is an official dedication and conveyance of roads. So when that process is over, when they are ready to turn that road back into the county, this is the official document that they will sign and say, here you go, this is now up to the county to maintain at this point, once it has been brought to county standards, if it isn't already.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie, second by Commissioner Knowlton.
On a discussion of this, currently, this is all just a no transparent at all. It's just a handshake agreement. And I fully support making it transparent. So thank you for putting your time into this.
Thank you, sir.
And the procedures at the back,
Those actually go with a different agenda item.
different agenda, okay.
Yes, so those go with a different agenda item.
What are you
Those
referring
go
to?
with something that Trent's talking about in a little bit.
Right here. This section.
Which agenda item?
Okay, the highlighted area,
Yes, sir. Those go with a different agenda item.
Where's the other agenda item? Under you?
Yes, it's under Trent.
Okay, we'll wait.
under where?
Yes, 19. Those go to number 19.
Okay. Got it.
I see. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions? Yes, go ahead.
I have a suggestion at the end of this. Can we move the agenda item up that she has?
Sure.
So we can take care of this in one fell swoop.
Okay. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. We're going to move agenda item 19 up to this space right now, and that is Trent Rouse item. It says discuss and/or take action to institute a permanent water pipeline easement across the county right-of-way permit and a residential driveway across the county right-of-way permit.
It's as confusing as I
Yeah,
can think to
know.
write it,
Yeah,
so.
could you explain the agenda item to us?
Sure. Okay, so these are two permits that we think we need. Commissioner Knowlton called me about this last week or the week before on the, talking about the pipeline. We have a temporary pipeline permit that allows someone to go across our right-of-way. We do not have a permanent one. So in some of these residences, in order to get the water to the subdivision, they have to go across our right-of-way. And we need a permit so that our procedures, how we want that done, are followed, and that the people have to go through this process in order to get the permit granted, even if that pipeline is not temporary. And what we have now is just a temporary one.
Now, let me describe it to you. I had a request from a resident out near Lytle. The water meter is located in our right-of-way, which is typical. However, to get to the house, they're gonna have to go down the right-of-way and then across. And in reading the regulations, there were no requirements for a permit. And if so, we would never know that that water line existed there unless we recorded
Ran
something.
over.
So the change is to add that requirement.
Are y'all gonna have specifications as to how deep and stuff when they cross the road?
Yes, we will have to work on that, but yes, I would assume it would be fairly similar to what the temporary pipeline is, permit is, just that it be made permanent. Maybe it needs to be a bit deeper, I don't know. But we just need the approval to get started on it, and we will consult with y'all, because you know how deep it needs to be and how you want it done.
And what you see in front of you, I've highlighted two portions of the subdivision ordinance that currently call for driveway permits, which is the other piece of this agenda item is driveway permits in our right-of-way. So our subdivision ordinance currently says that any subdivision going in is required to have a driveway permit from the county. That is not something that we currently hold to, I guess is the right way to say it, because it is in the ordinance, but we don't have those procedures set up for any kind of driveway permit across the county at all. So I put in where it talks about it in the subdivision that we've already adopted that at some point in the past. That was before my time. And I've attached for you examples, I've attached for you examples that I pulled from Wilson County. I worked with them quite a bit this weekend. There's an example for crossing a county right-of-way with a private water line. There's an example stating a driveway permit, I believe was the second one. Yes, the driveway permit was the second one, and the third is a utility line on a non-controlled access roadway, if that is anything that's applicable to us. So these are just examples. We can still tweak them to what we need them to be. If we do adopt a countywide driveway permit, I do recommend that we follow what we require in our subdivision ordinance, just to keep everything uniform across the board. I know a countywide driveway permit is a larger undertaking, and that is something that I would assume would fall in Rex's department, but that's just what's already in place. So these are just some examples and some options of what's currently here.
We do have a countywide commercial driveway
Yes, sir.
permit program.
Commercial driveway, yes, sir.
You could add residential to that, as well as your subdivision ordinance. We stayed away from residential at that time because it wasn't our problem. But if this is our only problem, I really hate to impose a residential driveway permit on everybody that lives out in the country. So that if this is just related to subdivisions, I think I'd prefer it was written into the subdivision ordinance.
And it currently is. That's what I provided for you.
That's what I
the
think
2
you
points.
said, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I just wanted to reinforce that.
But, yes, and certainly it's at the pleasure of the Commissioners Court, but, you know, if, right now, that only covers subdivisions and commercial driveways. So I get questions about, you know, well, this driveway's going up and it's not to our specifications, how, you know, well, we don't have anything to enforce on that. If it's not a subdivision or if it's not a commercial driveway, there's nothing we can do about that. Now, I think, because, well, I'm not gonna backtrack. It's not I think, I know. If they're going across our right-of-way construction, you can't, you know, find everyone until after the driveway is put up, and then it's a little too late. So, but again, it's up to y'all what you want to do. But just as we were talking about the pipeline easement, I thought it'd be a good idea to bring up the residential driveway permit. And it's, again, just so that everyone's clear, we do not have one for residences that are not covered in subdivisions.
And some of the issue that we do see with residential driveways not being permitted now are culvert and therefore subsequent flooding issues. Because people often don't think whenever they put in a driveway it's going to actually affect the flow of water, and it does. So that is one of the big issues that we do see without having driveways permitted are some subsequent flooding dangers because of the lack of culverts or correct construction.
So can you tell us what you would like us to pass today?
I do think that a residential
Do you want us
driveway
just to
permit.
approve these changes and then ask both of you to work on determining how that's going to be established? The physical requirements?
If you want us to work on an actual permit and bring it back to you with requirements behind it, because I know instituting a residential driveway permit is a big undertaking. So if that's something that we do not want done, then that is perfectly fine. But there are some concerns around a residential driveway permit
it's been a number of years now, but we added engineering drawings to our commercial permit with radius turns, and you're gonna have to do that. We might be able to find that document in our archives somewhere, and maybe you can work off of that. But I did have an engineer draw those radiuses and we copied some other counties.
Well, and we
Commercial
can,
permit.
we can utilize a lot of what's in our subdivision ordinance currently for driveway construction. So we can adopt some of that so that it is as uniform as possible if we do want to institute a residential driveway permit. So that's up to you if you want to tell us to continue to work on these and build these permits and specifications and bring them back to you for your approval, or what you would like us to do moving forward, how you'd like us to do this.
Everyone's gonna be different. Everyone's gonna have a different terrain, it's gonna have a different depth, it's gonna have a different construction. But turning radius and line of sight, is critical in people coming in and out of a turn like this. And so you can handle all that. So you want us to make a motion to approve these changes to the subdivision ordinance? Are these already in it?
There's no change to the subdivision.
These
ordinance.
are-
Those
What you
in it.
highlighted is already there.
Yes,
sir.
these are countywide, these would be countywide requirements, whether it be a subdivision or not a subdivision. So the pipeline, it'd basically be regulating our right-of-way, our property. And so it would apply to everyone. There already are regulations for subdivisions. What this is deciding if we want to have those same regulations on other private driveways. And it may be that we don't need them to be as onerous as the and I would assume you wouldn't, as a commercial driveway. It may be as simple as saying, go to the commissioner, get their approval. Whether y'all want to do that or not, I don't know, but in any event, you know, I do get questions about private driveways, and they are not done to what we would like specification-wise. Right now, we have, I just say, you know what, we can't do anything about that. This would be giving us something to do, but it would apply, just so we're all clear, not just to subdivisions, but to countywide residences. The pipeline easement, I think, is a little less problematic, because if they're putting a pipeline in there, we want to know about it so that we don't pop it next time we dig. So, but the driveway permit is what you would want to tell us you want to do.
And if you, I'm sorry, yes, sir.
I have a question. So both of these are already in our subdivision regulations?
The driveways are already in our subdivision
And
regulations.
what we're adding is a pipeline permit?
If you, so there is actually not an existing driveway permit, period. The
So-
requirements are in our subdivision, but there's not a permitting process in place even for the subdivisions.
So our action would be to instruct you to go create a driveway permit process?
Yes, and if that only applies to subdivisions, then that's fine. If you want us to have a more in-depth conversation about it being all residential, that's great too. If you guys just want to, I know the water pipeline was one of the main concerns for our
Yes,
reason
we
for
need
being
to
here
do
today.
that.
So if we want just this permit approved today, we can do that as well. Whatever it is that is at your pleasure.
And you need to state which is off a private road or county access.
Yes, sir.
Because we do a lot of the entrances or something for county access to a property or to a residence. You know, we're gonna start, you know, we should put that under also.
Yes, sir. These would only be for anything crossing a county right of way.
When
So a driveway off of a private road, that would not,
They call me and put a cover pipe in, I'm gonna put less than 18 inches. Because they wanna put a little 6-inch in there and stopped up the first rain.
sure.
So I require 18.
And that can
So
be
30%
one of the
cover's gonna
requirements
be
that we put in
filled
place.
First rain.
Well, again, I go back to the original question. We do need to add the pipeline permit, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
That's one action.
Yes, sir.
The second would be for you to create a permit process for driveways, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And we either need just a driveway permit in regards to our subdivision ordinance, so only subdivisions would require driveway permits, or we need the instruction to move forward and do it across the entire county for all
So
residential.
let's
crossing
separate
right-of-way.
this. I'd like to move that we add the requirement for a pipeline permit in our right-of-way.
Okay.
Private, I'm talking about water
For
line.
subdivisions and for,
And the county, yes.
yeah, okay,
Across
pipeline.
the board. Okay.
All right, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Perez, motion by Commissioner Milton. Discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries.
Do y'all like the example of that permit that I provided to you? Do you want us to run with that?
Just a second. Did you have another motion you want to make?
Yes, well, we need some discussion. I'll make the motion that we develop driveway permits for the county.
There should
The
be a
county
standard.
right away, excuse me.
Yes, there should be a standard, you know.
So if we can get a second, we can have some discussion.
County right of ways.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I have a question on that.
We need a second.
Second.
Okay,
Second? Okay, sir?
Discussion.
Who's gonna take care of installing the culverts and who's gonna take care of buying the culverts? Because you're gonna get 100 people at a time that are gonna want those culverts today.
My understanding is that it'd be very similar to how the TxDOT permitting process works. You go to TxDOT, you get a permit, and they tell you how to build it. So it would fall on the residents to correctly construct their. And
Okay,
from what
that's-
I understand, Rex Newman handles our commercial driveways right now. Possibly he could handle the residential as well. I have no idea. I'm throwing his name out there.
I don't think anybody's suggesting that we be in the driveway construction business.
No.
This is just like any other permit. We're gonna tell you how to build it, and we're gonna see if you're building it correctly, not we're gonna build it ourselves.
First thing they're gonna tell you, it's on the county right of way. Why should I have to buy it?
Would you like to get to your property or not? Because otherwise, the only way we're
Yeah,
gonna give you
exactly. I mean,
permission
it's-
to go across our property is you do what we, like any other thing. Why do I not, go 150 miles down the road? Because that's the law. The law is the law, and this is our,
Well, it
You know.
is a law. If we make it the law, I am opposed to requiring residential permits in the county that aren't related to subdivisions or multiple house access. You talk about trying to establish a permit for every farm gate in the county, you're opening a huge can of worms.
I
I
I
fully
understand.
agree.
happen to have one that I don't want to rebuild
I
my
fully
entrance
agree with
for
Judge.
too. Frankly, it's personal.
Yeah,
right.
Yes, sir. I understand, but again, I want to remind you, we're not talking about residences for cattle. We're talking about residences for people. And so, that could be split out as well. All I'm saying is, understand when I get calls about, I don't like how this driveway's done, and nothing I can do about it, unless we have this permit. If everybody's okay with that, then I'm okay with it.
Well, I'll modify the motion to require it for residences in the county,
Residential driveways.
residential driveways.
And you may want to have more time to think about it. I don't know, and so maybe I'm the one causing the problem. But I thought as long as we were talking about countywide pipelines, it might be a good idea to at least start the discussion on
And
this.
typically, there is a fee that goes along with a permit, and we don't have any of those fee schedules prepared for you or any suggestions there. So this can be something that I can go and take these permits and work on them. We can work on procedures, we can work on expectations, and we can bring that back to y'all for consideration on, just for subdivisions, for every residence, for, any manner of combination thereof.
We had this question come up whenever we were working on the commercial entrance, and the question was, and I actually posed it to several other counties, permitting authorities, how do we determine when it's not a farm but a commercial operation, and it's when they're running 5 or 6 65-footers in and out of the gate every day? And that's like a grass farm. That's a commercial operation. It depends on the traffic load. But for, for residences and new ones, are you gonna go back and start inspecting everybody's driveway? I have some problems with where this is headed, and I think we need to be careful. That's all I'm saying.
And that's why we bring it up for discussion, and if we need to look at it more,
We
but
may
no,
be
I don't
addressing-
think that you can go back and look at every driveway that's already in existence. This
If
would
you-
only apply to future driveways, but again, this is totally at the pleasure of the court. If the court doesn't want to do that.
I'm interested to know if you've had a lot of complaints. First I would say we may be addressing a problem that's not there.
Yeah.
But if you're getting complaints, and it's a chronic complaint, and we're getting this all over the county, it may be something we need to look at, but I've never heard my first complaint about a residential driveway in
I
the
would say
county.
most of my complaints are about subdivision driveways But I've had 2 or 3 complaints about residential driveways like she's talking about that may not be constructed to help the flow of water that causes flooding issues. But, and so you may want us to look at it more, and that's perfectly acceptable.
We saw a motion. Did you say you want to amend your motion?
Yeah, I'll take it, and I'll modify it again to subdivisions only.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Do you want to amend your second?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the motion is to do residential driveway permits for subdivisions. only.
Subdivisions only, going forward, not going backward.
Yes.
Well, consider and talk about it. I mean, I'm not trying to say it. I'm just trying to point out
No.
No, there's some other
the
pitfalls.
devil in the
Yes,
details. I mean,
exactly.
we've been down this road once before here in Commissioners Court, and it could be tricky depending on how we word it. We just don't really want onerous rules on our
I
county
understand.
residents.
Yes.
Well, and, I mean, I'm not pushing for one way or the other. This is completely
Exactly,
whatever
yes.
is best from your perspective. But with the address thing coming through my office, they contact me and they need an address, which means they're going to need a new driveway in most cases. So that is a really good indication of you need to get a driveway permit if that is something that based on their use, if that is something that y'all wanted to pursue. So we can work on the permits for subdivisions and the permit for the water line and come back to y'all with completed permits and fee schedules if that works for you.
We have a motion second to implement
Permitting
driveway
process.
permitting for subdivision access to county roads. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All driveway permits in a subdivision, correct?
All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand.
And that, real quick, on Ms. Van Kuren's, that's important. That's for all the driveways within that subdivision.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
As
Not just
stated-
their
as
entrance to
stated
the county
currently,
road. It's
yes.
to each driveway inside that
And
subdivision.
that's currently in our subdivision ordinance, we just don't have a permitting process in place for it.
Because
So
that
that's
developer
what-
should be the one building those driveways into each piece of property inside that subdivision. That is not taken over as a county road yet, and I guarantee you in 2 years, when we do adopt it, we're gonna be putting in 500 driveways.
Yep.
It needs to be in there with the driveway entrance to the subdivision, including each one
I see.
inside that
Because we
subdivision.
don't own the roads yet.
I see. Yeah. So,
That's already in our regulation.
Yes, sir, it is. I just
and
need a
that's not a
permitting process
conflict
in
with your
place.
motion, is it?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. But we have your comments in the record. Okay. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Number 13, Laura Pavelic, discuss and take appropriate action concerning approving the April 2022 Treasurer's Report order for publication in the local newspaper and county website. Good morning, Ms. Pavelic.
I will try to not be quite so in-depth. I just need approval to publish my treasurer's report in the paper and on the website.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Riley, second by Commissioner Walton. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Number 14, Diane Gonzalez, discuss and take appropriate action concerning personnel. Existing employee Gloria Vasquez, position full-time deputy clerk, pay rate tier 1, 38087.34, annually based on completion of 90-day probation. Salary budget area 012-408-402, physical drug test not applicable. Start date 05/09/2022.
Yes, sir. She completed her 90-day probation a long time ago, and we went up on the tiers, and we're moving her to tier 1.
Move approval.
Motion by Commissioner Walton,
Second.
second by Commissioner Perez. I'd like to express our sympathy for Ms. Gonzalez's loss of her mother. That's where she is today. And any discussion on this item? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Number 15, Diane Gonzalez, discuss and take appropriate action to approve the Atascosa County additional pages contract proposal with CoFile. This is an addendum to the current approved contract with CoFile under the Texmas State Contract number 18-3602, direct county judge to sign pending Trent Rowell, Assistant County Attorney's approval. See attached. Ma'am?
Judge, I'll address this.
Yes, please.
Trent
This is a project that she has in place. We already have a current contract. When they did the estimate, they just looked at the drawers. They didn't actually physically take out every single piece of paper and count them. So the project is much larger than they anticipated. So this, what we're adding to the original contract, this is all for her records preservation. This is an additional pages contract. So we're just adding it to basically the original contract. We've already approved the original 218, I think it was 218 or 218,000. So this is an additional amount, I think of 128, 130,000 additional dollars. She has the money in her funds, and we'll do budget adjustments later. I'm not even looking at the budget adjustments. We just needed y'all to get the contract, approve it, and then we'll look at the money. But she does have the money in her reserves. Yes, sir? Any questions?
No, I'm not going where you think I was going.
Okay. But anyway,
We need to do the budget adjustments as soon as possible.
yes, this hadn't been
That's
paid.
where I
They
was going.
haven't.
That's why you
Yes.
stopped and looked at me.
Yeah. No, we haven't paid anything yet. It hasn't completely
I
been
understand.
completed. They've got to a stopping point, and they are not moving until this additional part of this contract is approved.
Good. We have a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Riley,
Second.
second by Commissioner Gillespie. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Number 16, Russell Pacifica. A, discuss and take appropriate action concerning approving the Marshall shredding contract for the records management shred for approximately 20 to 25 bins, with the first bin being $70 and each additional bin being $55, and direct the county judge to sign. Mr. Pacifica.
Morning, all. We've used Marshall Services the last 2 years. They shred on-site. This year, we probably have, at this point, over 200 boxes. I'm still getting emails of those elected officials that have more boxes to bring in. We've tentatively scheduled for 23rd. They tried to change it 27th. He called me or texted me today and said it will stay on the 23rd, which is a Monday before Election Day. These are basically for the non-elected officials. And if we do, at the point of 25 bins, which is 250 boxes, the total would be $1,390 for destroying that on site. I can assure you, I will make sure that every non-elected official will give me exactly what is to be shred, so we'll have a list of all their documents and what they have done. Before Commissioners Court, the elected officials are their own records management, but we're looking to have them at our facility, probably in a second location with Ms. Holly, which is only a block away, but this is all shred on site, so there's no confidential information getting out from the county.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Riley. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Russell Pacifica. B, discuss and take appropriate action concerning authorizing the destruction of certain records of the Atascosa County offices, juvenile detention, indigent healthcare, rural addressing, election county auditor, along with other elected officials in accordance with the records control schedule. See attached. Shred date will be May 23rd. Mr. Pacifica.
As before, all these offices will need to get with me and will need to mark their boxes. They have a destruction date and the order of destruction that they carry with it on the boxes. But each and every department will have to come through, and I know Ms. Pavelic and Ms. Barrera always go through and put a piece of green tape. That way, when it's the shred date, the boxes go and I don't have to question any. But if there's no green tape on it, it's not getting shredded. I want to make sure everyone doesn't second guess themselves, and they do put a piece of tape on there saying it can legally be destroyed according to our records management schedule. So.
Motion by Commissioner Perez.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Riley. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Thank you. Number 17, Sheriff Soward. Discuss and take appropriate action concerning personnel. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning.
Would you like me to read them separately? They're the same except we have different start dates. They can be together. Okay. Existing employee Rodney Wigley, position patrol deputy, pay rate tier 1, 49989.61 annual. Salary budget area 012-440-410, physical drug test not applicable. Start date 5/14/2022. Second one is existing employee Ivan Quintero. All is the same except the start date is 05/01/2022. Sure.
On the request itself, on Ivan, it's 49898, is that a mistake? On the request that went over, this part.
Don't know.
The backup copy, pardon me, the backup copy?
No, one says 49898 and one says 49989. That's right.
It's
She's
supposed to
right.
be 989, isn't it?
I checked with Amanda, she just,
Okay, well, when I see something like that,
Yeah.
I'd rather ask and make sure, so it's going to be 989
Right.
on both of them. Okay.
Okay, so as I read them is correct then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the dates are correct on the starts?
Yeah, both of these deputies are, completing their 90-day probationary period and moving them up to tier 1 salary.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie, second by Commissioner Riley. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff. Number 18, Trent Rowell, discuss and take action to dedicate a mental health deputy to serve countywide to execute mental health warrants, transports patients, and follow up with the transported patients.
Hello again.
Mr. Rowell.
I had this discussion with Constable Thompson and a few others in our office. We've seen an uptick on the issuance and need for mental health warrants and how we transport the patients to the facilities. Right now, we have the constables taking care of that on a kind of ad hoc basis. Talking to Constable Thompson, it was kind of an idea to try to dedicate a deputy that will be a mental health deputy to do that countywide. He's here for questions. I believe he's talked to the sheriff about that. And what this would do would be dedicate an existing deputy that would execute the mental health warrants and then be responsible for transporting them to wherever they need to go, Camino Real or wherever, and then to follow up with those patients, which we're not able to currently do now because of the workload, to make sure that they're getting the help that they need, and hopefully then we're not having the same problems with having to pick them up again. And so this is an idea to try for the health and safety of the county. Not only for the patients, but for, community members. And Mr. Thompson, Constable Thompson is here for questions. I believe we gave you some data on, what the pickup numbers were, and then also Camino Real had sent him an email, kind of showing you the trends of what was going on.
What about the cost of the sheriff? Is this an existing person, or?
I was unaware of this item. Nobody consulted with me about it being on the agenda, so I don't know.
I'm not surprised.
I should have.
And your information is not accurate.
Okay.
I do 2 to 6 emergency detentions a week. We have a budget with Superior Ambulance, and we hire them to haul from Monday through Friday, especially at night and on weekends. Camino Real will talk to some law enforcement. The sheriff has taken some.
And we probably do at least 1 transport a week.
I'm not surprised. The sheriff is good about doing it when he has people. The problem is when people are available. We ran into this problem when I first became county judge. We don't transport to Camino Real. That's their problem. That's their business. That is not a lockup. We cannot execute an ED and take them to community. I'm sorry to correct you, Mr. Rail, you're very rarely
No,
not
no,
there with all the information, but this is what I've been doing
it
for
happens more than you would think,
7.5
so.
years.
Yes.
And so even Constable Thompson's not seen all the EDs that we're talking about. And we do have a budget with Superior Ambulance. We do have a contract with Superior Ambulance. And it is the preference of the mental health professionals that if we can avoid taking them in a police car, it's less traumatic to them. But if they are violent, if they are problematic, then a police car is the proper way because you have a cage, you have restraints, you have the best way to take them. You know, each one's different. And we do have a way of doing this, but I think you brought up a good point for conversation, but it's obviously not ready for us to act on.
No, it appears not to, so.
I just want to
but-
throw my 2 cents worth in
Yes.
because that's what I do. I do them at 2 in the morning. I do them 7 days a week, and they come in. It's legal. Robbie actually has a signature stamp for me, and she actually does these during the week. I've taught her what the parameters are to read, or she takes a picture of them and sends them to me, like if I was at conference last week. So we're very diligent about following the law. There's a specific set of body of law to follow on an ED. I'm sorry to try to.
Good. We currently have 3 certified mental health officers on my staff. Now, granted, they're not dedicated to a mental health officer, but they are certified mental health officers. And I have 2 transport deputies. One of them is currently enrolled in a mental health certification school for later this month. So we do a lot of transporting on those. Probably a lot of them during the day. The night ones, take them.
Yeah, when you have people.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And then when you have some out of your jail, you generally take care of that. And you get quite a few out of the jail too. And you know, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's all I wanted to say. I mean, yes, it is a growing problem. I will definitely agree with you on that. But it's something that's coming up.
It is growing. When I first became county judge, we did maybe 4 or 5 a month. And now we're doing that many a week. Every
Yeah.
week in, week out.
Yeah, that brings up when and I've visited with the sheriff, and with Ms. Morale as well. I broached the subject mainly for our conversation to be started
Sure.
on this. Nothing would be voted up. This is strictly for a conversation to begin. And seeing the numbers and you as well, you know, the numbers are going up and up and up, and with the drug issues and it just expanding
access the ambulance unless they call me.
Yes.
And I track it, because I didn't want to give them permission to call them whenever they wanted. But they will do that, and they're always struggling to find somebody to transport out of Lytle. And I know a lot of times Judge Bradley would sign their orders for them, but you have to have a warrant.
Right. And
An officer can execute a warrant, but the officers in the local police departments are not allowed to do it, because then they'd have to leave their jurisdiction.
And that's where we come in.
It's a problem for them to, they don't, same as the sheriff at night or on weekends, he doesn't have people loose that he can just pull loose and send to take somebody.
Exactly. And many of these people that are getting out of the hospitals, once they leave the hospital situation, they're forgotten about. They might be able to coordinate, Camino Real may coordinate with them if they go to Laurel Ridge, they have contracts with them. But if there was a mental health officer that could go and do after visits for weeks after that person comes out of the hospital, if there's one or two lives saved, doing it this way, I believe that would be a good option. Anyway, I just want to create a discussion.
You did
about
that.
the situation.
You did a good job.
I'm sorry I didn't let the sheriff know.
Way to go.
Okay,
So there you go.
where do you want us to go, Mr. Rowell?
I think you can take no action at this point, and we can't, we may need more discussion on it.
Well,
so.
it's good for everybody to know what's going on. It's for all of us to talk together. It's a good thing. Okay, so there's no action on 18. And that brings us to 20. Commissioner Gillespie, discuss and take appropriate action concerning issuing McCoy Water Supply Corporation and a permit for a road board located in Precinct 1 at 00 Bright Road, Pleasant, for Marco Torres.
Move for approval, sir. I've been to location and it all looks good. I'm not sure on that exact address, but I know where the location is at. So Brittany may know something about a double lot number. I don't know.
That just means there's not an issued address.
Okay.
If that's the address we can give them, so that's something that can be worked on, but I haven't been contacted.
Okay. Other than that, the permitting is good to go on my end. Move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie, second by Commissioner Knowlton. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries.
In your honor, with my regrets, may I ask to be excused for my family?
Commissioner Gillespie's had a death in the family. He's headed to the service right now. Please express our condolences to your family.
Thank you. Thank y'all. Sorry, y'all know I hate leaving business.
Number 21, Commissioner Knowlton, discuss and take appropriate action concerning personnel, new employee, Eliseo Perez, 3, position, Precinct 2 worker, pay rate 41600.00 annually, salary budget area 012440-410, physical drug test pending, start date 5/09/2022.
Yes, sir, I move approval. I'm short 4 right now. This would leave me with 3 openings.
Second by Commissioner Riley. Motion by Commissioner Knowlton. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. 22, Commissioner Riley, discuss and take appropriate action concerning issuing a permit for straight line well services and lay a 4-inch temporary water line along CR 407 for 2.8 miles. A check for $1,500 been turned in the county treasurer's office. Commissioner Riley.
Yes, I move for approval on this temporary water line.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Riley, second by Commissioner Knowlton. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Which one did we just do? 23?
22.
23. Shouldn't check them off before we do them. Discuss and take appropriate action concerning 2 temporary water line permits to lay 2 10-inch flex lines, one to be laid 0.89 miles along CR 412, and the other to be laid 0.52 miles along CR 411. 2 separate checks for $500. A total of $1,000 were turned into the Atascosa County Treasurer's Office. Commissioner Riley.
Yes, I move for approval for this action. I know you're seeing these permits going, these temporary water lines, but there's fracking is starting in that lower part of our county. Again, they're getting after it, so. Move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Riley, second by Commissioner Knowlton. Discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Number 24, discuss and take appropriate action concerning approving the attached grant terms for the hazardous mitigation grant for the grant works as administrating and direct county judge to sign pending county approval. It's the same grant for generators we've been working on for months.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Perez,
Second.
second by Commissioner Knowlton. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Number 25, discuss and take appropriate action concerning approving the attached contract with Union Pacific Railroad for a traffic study required by a railroad crossing application on behalf of Wilco and direct county judge to sign pending county approval. This contract has to be between the county and Union Pacific since we're applying for a public crossing, but it's on behalf of Wilco. We have a memorandum of understanding that they reimburse us for all costs. We will be reimbursed for every penny of this. I believe it's $15,000.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Knowlton,
Second.
second by Commissioner Riley. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. All right, now, Mr. Benford's been waiting so patiently, but I scheduled you here so that you could also come to our executive session and talk to the commissioners about some items, legal matters related to it. But you're going, number 26 is discuss and take appropriate action concerning presentation by Clay Benford with McCall, Parkhurst, and Harton LLP. But you're going to educate us on PIDs, right?
Yes, sir. My name is Clay Benford. I'm here on behalf of, at the invitation of Judge Hurley. And Judge Hurley asked me to come today to talk a little bit about what we're doing in Medina County. I believe that him and Judge Schuhart of Medina County talked at maybe an ACOG meeting about how the county, Medina County deals with the overflow of growth, spillover growth from San Antonio that's coming into our county, and maybe provide some input and guidance as to what might be helpful towards Atascosa County. For your information, I grew up in rural unincorporated area of Medina County outside of Castroville. It's where I live now. I am a practicing attorney in San Antonio. I represent local governments. Don't represent developers. I represent bond issuances, debt issuances, development agreement negotiations. And about 10 years ago, 11 years ago or so, I read in a newspaper article about a developer that was coming into Medina County. I'd known some of his work in another county, and I called our judge and I said, hey, I'd like to help out just to be sure, to the extent that we can, to make sure that the best deal is done for the county. And since that time, I've been the exclusive negotiator on behalf of the county in development agreements for people coming in to our area. As you well know, counties are extremely limited in what you can regulate or govern in your unincorporated territory. While you have home rule municipalities within their corporate limits can do everything that but what they are prohibited by law from doing, you can only do what the legislature has specifically allowed you to do, which even things like permits on drainage over residential roads, you have to be careful of to make sure you have authority in order to do that. Several years ago, there was a movement to try to give counties regulatory authority similar to municipalities in unincorporated areas, and that was defeated by the development lobby in Austin at the legislature. So the counties are really in a conundrum because you are the responsible parties for people that are coming into spillover growth, and they're actually coming in for the exact reasons why you find yourself frustrated, because you have low regulatory opportunity, developers can kind of do what they want, and you're left to try and navigate that when they leave and you're stuck with a permanent issue. So what we've done in Medina County is we've negotiated with these developers and tried to do by contract what we're not allowed to do unilaterally by law. And one of the things that we have had a significant amount of success with, and a lot of other counties and municipalities across the state are doing, is creating something called a public improvement district. Now, I'm not here to advocate that's the best thing for you, but it does provide you a development tool. Public improvement district is a management district over a geographic area that's authorized under Chapter 372 of the Texas Local Government Code. What that does is it allows you to impose what's called an assessment which is different than a tax, but to the payer of the assessment, it works basically the same. And it provides the opportunity for the developer to have some cost recovery for public infrastructure, which they like. And in exchange for that, we ask for things that the county wants or needs or likes as well. Help us fix a problem that we don't currently have a solution for. Impose upon yourself regulatory guidelines that the law doesn't allow us to do ourselves. The things that we look for are wider street pavements, wider cul-de-sacs, so that you can get emergency services vehicles in there. We look for water and wastewater treatment, maybe some reclaimed water, some things that are going to be a sustainable development, agree to certain development standards so that your roads, you build them to geotech spec, gives opportunity for maintenance to where we impose a maintenance assessment so that development pays for itself and its roads, and you're not given roads that weren't, you accept roads for subdivision that weren't built properly, and in 3 to 5 years you're completely rebuilding the things on the backs of the taxpayers of the people that were already here. One of our fundamental tenets that we try to maintain is that development has to pay for itself. So all professional fees, legal fees, you tell the developer up front, hey, we'll help you get there if you are willing to abide by our rules, and in exchange, you do the things that we ask, but fundamentally is you build a development that is additive to the community and not one that capitalizes on the resources that are here for the developer's financial gain. PIDs are one reason, one type that is something that's relatively easy from a regulatory standpoint. A PID is not a separate political subdivision, and you might hear that we don't want MUDs or water control and improvement districts or something like that because it's government in perpetuity. That's not what this is. It is a management district that the governance is retained by the Commissioners Court. So you have the approval authority for what they do within this management district. Once, if you assess the property for a particular improvement, like water and wastewater or road construction, when that's paid off, the assessment goes away. So while a person that comes in that might initially pay a higher assessment rate, when that is paid off, that assessment goes away, and they're essentially their all-in tax rate goes back to what everybody else in the county is paying. You can provide for maintenance of public improvements paid for. The way that we do this in Medina County is we require that they create an HOA. The HOA pays for maintenance of the roads. They pay for any public parks, any storm drainage that is interior to the subdivision. But if the HOA doesn't do that, the county can step in and fix it, and then they have an assessment that kicks in that takes the place of the HOA to repay the county again, so the citizens outside of that subdivision are not impacted. And what that prevents the community from doing is deciding after 5 or 10 years that they can disband the HOA and save the money, and then there's no recovery mechanism or maintenance mechanism for what goes on within that division. It provides the county with an additional hammer to make them do what they agreed to on the front end as memories fade over time of the development's evolution. There are other things that you can do. Municipal management districts we see are coming in. These are all mechanisms for trying to help diffuse the cost for new development. We like this from the contract perspective because in addition to the higher quality public infrastructure, we will require things like minimum square footage on lots, which you can't regulate. We also put in things like exterior masonry construction on the homes, rock, brick, or stucco, at least for some portion of either the front facade or the sides or up to a particular roof line on a 2-story home or at least up to the 1st story. So anyway, a lot of tools. By contract, you can do whatever you can get the other party to agree to. And so it's really, what do you need in order, or what are you trying to accomplish by these negotiations with the developers? We've had places before where we needed a bridge constructed, and we told them that we would give cost recovery over time out of the incremental revenue from their development if they would put in a bridge or address a flooding issue or something that we didn't have within the budget, but their development was going to exacerbate an issue that already existed. So we found people to be pretty receptive to that. But it is turning this more into a conversation and negotiation, and how can you provide some of the revenue that this development can produce in order to have a higher quality development. As I said, we're about 10 or 11 years into this program in Medina County, so it's pretty well evolved. We've learned a lot. We've learned a lot about subdivisions. Each one, I think we get a little bit better. But we have changed the trajectory of the growth, setting a baseline and what's going on out there, and then letting people build off of that. I am a big believer also that the first mover gets the best deal. The first person that comes in with a checkbook and they're willing to do some things, they get the better deal. The next person that comes in, the county is smarter, they're better funded. You get the benefit of that by slowly weaning yourself off of these things. I don't think it should be an in perpetuity opportunity that people will get forever. This is a way to manage growth, to kind of get to a new level of sufficiency. You build up your expertise, you build up your revenue base, and eventually you tell them that, hey, it is what it is and you need to develop. Now we have our standards in place. And we've been pretty successful with that. So I don't know, Judge Hurley, if that was kind of the information that you were looking to hear about. If you have specific questions, I'm certainly happy to answer, but I know this was just the first conversation on this topic.
Talk to us about the property tax ramifications.
Well, the property tax ramifications on a PID is that there are none to the county. You immediately collect all the property tax revenue for the new development without splitting it with anybody else. So I'll just use this example. You have a county tax rate. What is your current all-in tax rate? 50 cents?
I'm sorry?
What is your current property tax rate? Okay, let's say it's 50 cents.
It's 60.
Okay, so new development.
Or some fraction, I think.
Okay, so new development comes in and you impose the tax rate on that. In addition, you create a PID for them to recover some costs for roads and infrastructure, and that is equivalent to a 25-cent tax rate on a $100 valuation for 20 years. So those homeowners are going to pay the 50 cents plus a 25-cent tax. So the county gets the 50 cents without any kind of a reduction. The 25 cents is siphoned off and segregated and paid specifically for those obligations for additional infrastructure within that subdivision. So if you facilitate this in a way to where you have the incremental tax, you will get the benefit of that revenue without sharing it with anybody on day one, which allows you to do other things in other parts of the county.
It's similar to a TIF?
No, a TIF would actually take out part of your tax rate. So let's, in a tax increment.
None of the tax rate's taken out.
Not in the scenario I'm talking about.
And it's not defeated by the increased valuation in the PID.
No, it's not.
Right, so the effective tax rate, it sort of elevates, keeps the money in the property tax manageable to be paid back into the cost of the operation.
That's correct.
Build roads, bridges.
Correct.
Whatever.
That's right. That's right. And we also find that for if you require that development standards are placed over the property and they're paying for their own maintenance, those dollars that you get out of the subdivision are more valuable to the county because you don't have to pay for the roads in the subdivision. You don't have to undertake some of the maintenance issues that you do elsewhere in the county because theoretically these are built to a higher development standard, and so they should last longer and be more efficient over their life.
Depending on how you draw the PID, can't you control some of the development around it?
No, PIDs are specific geographically to, the only way you can create them is by petition of the landowner. So the landowner has to request that their property be included within the PID. So that way you're not imposing restrictions on people that don't consent to this.
I get TIFs and PIDs confused.
Sure, and TIFs are also a geographic footprint, but in a TIF, we would not have the 25-cent additional assessment as we did in my hypothetical. You would just take the 50-cent tax rate, and then the tax that's generated on the incremental growth. Let's say the property is worth $1 million. Today, at the completion of development with all the houses in there, it's worth $100 million. So the 50 cents would be applied to the $99 million of additional increment, and that would be segregated to pay for infrastructure within that development. We don't want to do that because that isolates the tax to one particular development. We ask for development to pay for itself, so you add the additional 25-cent assessment, and then the 50 cents on the $100 million comes back to the county, and you can use it anywhere, not just within that footprint. So TIFs are oftentimes difficult because you do have a future siphoning away of that tax revenue and isolating it into a particular geographic area, which isn't always popular with people who think that that tax money should be used on a countywide basis.
When you do I'm sorry, I was gonna call it effective tax, the no new tax rate, is there a place on there for PIDs to be listed and separated out from the, ad valorem valuation?
Correct. The PID assessment is not a tax, so it will not be included in your calculations for no new
That's what
tax
I
rate.
thought, yeah.
Right.
So in essence, it kind of defeats the killing nature of but it doesn't cost taxpayers anything.
That's correct. And everybody that buys into this new area would have to sign consents and waivers of disclosures, and you have to put signage out that says you're living in a PID and there's an additional assessment. So people do come into it, at least if they pay attention to the things they sign, they are giving ample notice.
Well, several weeks ago, I was approached by a company that wants to build a subdivision just outside of Jordan city limits, and they asked if we would consider a PID, and I said, well, based on all I've heard, yes. So if I get any more calls from them, I'll let you know. I'm not going to disclose their name or anything because it's just a preliminary call, but and the location, I know where they want to put it, so I don't want to disclose that either. That's their financial business.
Sure.
But if they continue, we'll need your help if we move forward on it, because it could be very advantageous tax-wise to the county.
Sure, and that's what we do, and we represent the political subdivision, the county. That's who we like to represent. We don't represent developers because I don't like the possibility that people would think that I'm representing you in one scenario but giving up something because I want to represent the developer when they develop something in Wilson County. That's not what I do. I'm here to represent you, and hopefully it's something that you'd be comfortable with as well.
Well, hopefully if it's a bit advantageous to the county, it translates into lower taxes for everybody else. That would be the best thing. Questions? I asked him, we'll break now for a executive session. I asked Mr. Benford to talk to us about some of the legal ways that the county can utilize PID activities, but it's not something we really want to talk about publicly. And Sheriff, I'm not going to say it's only going to take 10 minutes. You've already called me on that, so I don't know how long it'll take, but I'll try to keep it short.
I have an 11 o'clock meeting, I'm going to leave.
Well, that takes care of it. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Benford. And we're going to adjourn now for executive session. Like I said, we'll try to keep it short. We wanted to ask Mr. Benford a few questions. And the time is now 10:43 a.m. and we are recessing from our regular meeting, and we will reconvene in our executive session in 3 minutes.
I have a couple property issues.
get started and reconvene in regular session of Commissioners Court. And there is no action to be taken on the executive session. So number 29 is discuss, review, and take action to accept and approve any invoices and payroll. We have payroll of $2,228,995.81. And we have no live checks. And the bills are already signed by the commissioner, so we just need approval for the bills.
Payroll and bills.
Motion by Commissioner Knowlton.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Perez. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Number 30, we do not do reports in this meeting. We do it the last meeting of the month, so we skip that item. Comments from commissioners with no action to be taken. We are going to, as soon as we adjourn here, have a plaque presentation, and I believe there's a video.
It's just short.
Yeah, and Constable Richard's going to show a video right after this, so we're going to dedicate our time to honoring Judge Bradley and present this plaque to the family. And I have one comment, and then I'll see if the commissioners have any. And that's good news for the public's information. We got the preliminary tax valuations in, and it looks like we're going to see an increase of somewhere around $1.2 billion. They finally got the minerals back in, which means I hope to go into budget with a plan to cut your taxes. And I like nothing better than cutting taxes. So I do not like raising taxes. So that's good news, is that with the valuations going up, they picked up, they didn't have any minerals in it last year, but we got $900 million in it this year. So tell me it just disappeared. But we wrote a letter, and commissioners backed me up, and we just badgered them and told them they need to get the minerals back in the system. So $900 million of it's minerals, and that's a good deal. So that's all I have. Anybody have anything else? Then our next meeting is Monday, May 23rd, and we are adjourned, and we're going to go right to honoring the Kyle Bradley family. So I guess we need to get you all up here for this. Rusty, you did this, didn't you? You ordered this? Yes, sir. This is really, really nice. Really, Rusty, good to see you.
I didn't drop it.
Huh?
I didn't, whatever that was, I didn't drop it. Let's throw that out there just in case.
Why don't we line up over there in front of the jury box?
What's that?
What are you talking about, sir?
Well, I was just. Trying to figure out who's who. I know that's his daughter, son-in-law. I know that guy right there. The two ladies.
This is my mother, and this is actually my stepmother.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna read this, okay? Kyle Bradley, Justice of Peace, Precinct 2. In appreciation of his nearly 23 years. Would you like us to watch this first before we read it, or you want me to read it and then watch it? It's just gonna work. Okay. In appreciation of his nearly 23 years of service to citizens of Atascosa County as Justice of Peace Precinct 2, from January 1st, 1999 to April 3rd, 2022, we, County Judge Robert Hurley, Commissioners Mark Gillespie, Stuart Knowlton, Eliseo Perez, and Kennard Riley, Atascosa County Department heads, along with the citizens of Atascosa County, appreciate his many years of service and dedication to law and order in Atascosa County, and specifically to the citizenry of Precinct 2.
for his services.
As to the conversation we had earlier about honoring, how to best honor your dad, we really appreciate your input. And so for you to think about it, get back to us, we really want to do something nice for him. So all that conversation is just, that's just conversation. I don't, you didn't think it wasn't, we don't want to do anything. It's just, you got to try to fit up the whole together. But we really want to do something nice. He deserves it, and we want to. I think I speak for all the commissioners on that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's my favorite picture.
Excellent.
Did you say you wanted to say something?
I just, in regards to what y'all were speaking about, and I can put it together more formally. I don't think, in the case of him, where he brought, he was a big part in getting that courthouse on that end of the county. Court was actually held on his front porch of his house when he first started, because no one in Lytle would rent him a building for what the county had in the budget. We built the other building, which was the little round building, that he held court in for a number of years, and then he bought the mobile home to store all the county records and everything else that was there. So, I know that he's been a mentor to a number of the judges, not only in Atascosa County, but the state of Texas. And I feel like if naming the building after him would not be somebody else coming along like Judge Vaughn. You're not talking about somebody that's served, 23, would have been 24 years when he retired, at the end of this year. It's not the same thing. And I don't think, anybody would be objecting to that in the county. You're not gonna have these types of situations every single day. But that's just my opinion, and I can put it more formally, and I have a number of people from that area of the county that have already asked me about it, wanted it, requested it, and like I told them, it's not my decision, it's y'all's decision, so I would hope y'all consider it.
Your opinion is very important to us.
He was in, he mentioned this several times, he was in his property and his building for 17 years before this building was put up. And the judge and I spent a year, the way it happened, making sure that it was all put together right. So he was very big in that building. So, yeah.
A number of law enforcement that showed that day to escort us to San Antonio is just, I could look forward and see lights of the motorcycles all the way back, and then somebody way at the end that had lights on, bringing up the tail, and that it looked like it was at least over a mile going from Hurley Funeral Home in Lytle all the way to Fort Sam Houston. And it was a very, very special service. And one kind of humorous thing that happened, my dad was an instructor. He was a TI when he was in the military. He taught professional military education as well.